Muslims adhere to the Old Testament claim to be Abrahamic, and so do the Mormons. So
no, they
therefore,
don't.
yeah, they do. They don't.
No,
Their own council says they're Abrahamic.
The Mormons, my council says the
Vatican II
Mormons
says,
believe in Abraham.
No, I'm talking about Muslims, and they both reject the Son. And are you aware what they argued in the church in the 4th century against the Arians? They argued if you don't accept the sons, then you are a heretic.
Yeah, but they still believe in the same God. They still believe in the same concept of the God.
Concept? Okay, does Paul say to believe in the concept, or do you say to like, take the whole... Dude, like, I don't understand. So, Saint Basil, his motivation for these canons are not what you're saying. And you're saying that it is because of Vatican II. You understand that?
What are you trying to say St. Basil's motivations are?
In St. Basil's motivations were to call it the monothelites, you know, that is the Arians, and the heretics, and claiming that they're all anti-Christian. That's in his document on newadvent.com. So you're making the argument that oh, but they're Abrahamic because they believe this. So what? Mormons believe it too. People in Protestant churches are yelling their hands, claiming, "Praise Jesus." So what? Do they have the apostolic deposit? Yeah. So what?
No, they don't. Neither do the Muslims.
Okay, then they do not worship the Abrahamic God, or claim to. They claim to. You guys are claiming they adore it with us. They do not adore this God with us. Or Catholics, at least. So my argument is, can you deal with the interpretation of St. Basil and match it up? Because he is not saying what you're saying. And in the Laodicea, they very clarify, it's permitted for heretics to enter the house of God while they continue in heresy.
So the core argument is that by the Pope entering mosque and praying for the Muslims in there, he is breaking canon law.
Yeah, he is. And that goes deeper because it ties into Vatican II. Because I don't know if you know, popes before Vatican II actually called out conventions and meetings, such as Pope Pius. It's a direct contradictory in my interpretation. In Mortalium Animos, he says, conventions, meetings, and addresses, all without distinction, are invited to join. Catholics can be no wise approved, and whoever, and call them praiseworthy, because all religions to be less or good and praiseworthy. They call them, less good or praiseworthy. And he said, people who reject this are abandoning the whole religion together. So to reject this early church teaching, as Athanasius says that this canon, if you reject this canon, you reject the whole council.
And really, don't even have to concede to the Catholic faith being wrong or anything. All you have to do is just say that these popes were wrong. That's all you have to do.
Because I know many Catholics that reject this, and we just disagree on theology. That's it. You know.
Yeah, but the thing is that I'm trying to understand the reason that I'm trying to slowly get at this. And I'm trying to get basic answers and basic questions is so that we can actually work with this. Because I ask you a question, it's a yes or no question, and then you go on to say yes, and then you go on to bring in Vatican II and all this other, and then bring in another argument.
Because you said Muslims adore Abraham God. I was answering your question. I said that's what you claim in Vatican II.
Alright, so back to the base, which is
great.
Canon 45 and 64 at the same time.
St. Basil's go one at a time. Interpretation. Because the whole interpretation of the canons are the same, under the same premise by St. Basil. That's the whole point. It's called the Apostolic Canons.
Alright, and where are you getting St. Basil's interpretation?
Okay. I can send it to you. Send it in the chat.
You've said a lot.
Yeah, I kind of had to. You kept asking me questions. So his little here, I can send it. Hold on. And
and honestly, this is just so unfair to him because we've already went over all this, so it's a lot of things that happened, but Jay was too scared. So.
Cause Jay's the
Well, Jay's still.
I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I know. I'm just trolling. I love Jay.
And that is the motivation behind this canon. So and also in the Laodicea, like, do you see how it was permitted to enter in the same area? Do you see the difference in that council? 4th century.
1 second.
Or go ahead. I really advise you to read through that, and I think it'll change. Just at least understand his interpretation. Hold on, I'm gonna get some water real quick.
Alright. Alright.
I mean, all we gotta do is just excommunicate these popes, and there's no argument here.
Well, it's the thing, the popes aren't in the wrong.
Okay.
Alright, I'm back. Got some water. Where do you go?
I'm still here.
Okay.
Alright, so let's go by this step by step. Apostolic, so starting with 45. Let a bishop or presbyter or deacon who only prays with heretics be excommunicated. 1 second. Yes. The apostolic canon, and if we look at,
Yeah. I mean, you probably have to go through the altar, maybe look up his interpretation, or just read through it.
I have a book here by Henry R. Purcell.
Okay.
And in this book, the apostolic canons, in the 7 ecumenical councils.
I'm sorry, what was the guy's name in the book?
Henry R. Percival.
No.
The apostolic canons in Henry R. Percival. ED.
It's like the African version?
The 7 ecumenical councils. Percival's commentary explains that that 45 concerns communicado in sacris, which is what I was referencing earlier. It's been a while since I've talked about this.
No, that's fine.
That's where that is where it comes from, and now in the Council of Laodicea, yeah. They were roughly around like the 300, around like the year 300,
something like that.
Yeah. In Canon 32, it says that it is not permitted to receive the blessings of heretics. In Canon 33, it says no one shall join in prayers with heretics or schismatics. And in Canon 37, it says it is not lawful to receive unlimited bread from Jews.
Oh, yeah.
And these canons clearly regulate liturgical interaction, not participation. Liturgical participation is the word I was looking for. Not like a actual like proximity to these people. If we're looking at the canons that follow, or the canons that precede, I mean.
That's okay. Just let me know you're done.
And when we look at St. Basil's canonical letters, like letter 188
yeah.
to I'm not going to even try reading that name. Or letter 199 in these Basil, he talks about the reception of the schismatics and heretics, and
Correct.
he distinguishes the degree of separation, and
Correct.
Basil constantly treats prayer and sacraments as signs of ecclesiastical, right? That makes sense.
Okay, that's fine.
So,
I agree with you. It's not.
So,
Again.
in explaining communicano and sacris, which is the crime that you're trying to say that these popes committed. If we're looking at because my authoritative sources come from Catholic studies. That's the problem.
That's fine. I mean, well, we disagree, but because I just want to argue that I think we should stick to what Saint Basil's motivation was. If you want to go to Catholic sources, that's fine, but
even in these like that's the thing. Saint Basil, when he was putting these down, the crime that you're trying to pin on the Pope is communicado in sacris.
I agree.
And in the description, in the patristic usage, basically like it concerned participation in non-Catholic religious rites as an expression of unity.
Wait, can you say that again?
It concerned participation in non-Catholic religious rites as an expression of unity. That's what the law was basically put down for, and that's what would get you excommunicated.
Okay, are you done?
And one second, I'm going by different scholars here. Reverend John A. Abo and Jerome D. Hannon, in a book called The Sacred Canons, I actually have it right on my bed here. They note that early canons were directed at formal cooperation in non-Catholic worship.
Correct.
And
that'd be correct.
Okay.
Are you done?
So we are agree that these canons are about liturgical participation.
Again, I think, dude, are you aware what a quantifiership fallacy is? I know I keep saying it, but
what's your explanation for a quantifiership fallacy?
So we both agree that it's liturgical canons, but it doesn't give the actual justification on Basil's interpretation on what canons represent and how to protect them. So because the early church, I just wanted to make sure, are you done, so I can keep going?
Well, if we look at the Arian crisis context, rival bishops and liturgies operated simultaneously, and shared prayer meant citing doctrinally. That's a word. And in Basil's eschatology, in that fourth century theology treated worship as the primary expression of doctrinal allegiance. I mean, okay. And I got that from a book.
Yeah.
That was called Nicaea and its Legacy. I think that's what it was called.
So, okay. Again, these are cool stories. I agree with you, but we have to get to the opposite of what these actually mean.
Well, it's these. What I'm quoting here from.
You gotta I'll let you talk. I'll let you talk for like a solid 5 minutes. You gotta let me go. So again, it's a cool story.
They're from. Dude,
I'm reading the
Alright.
chat. No, I'm reading the chat. I'm reading the chat. I'm not laughing at you. Anyways, at the end of the day, this doesn't give us a justification for this is a Vatican II interpretation. This is not the the early church interpretation. Just because it's liturgical services, of course we agree on that. The point is that what is the premise?
Hey,
you gotta let me
stop
go.
for a second. Stop.
You gotta let me
no,
go.
no, no, no. I need to stop you for a second because these aren't Vatican II interpretations.
You gotta let me go.
These are from scholars pre-Vatican II and post-Vatican II that I'm referencing.
Again, the whole difference is I agree with the scholars. You're missing the point on justification, how to present your point. And this comes into natural theology. Because if that was the case, then Roman Catholic scholars wouldn't disagree with you. I mean, not Roman Catholic, I mean Eastern Orthodox.
They don't.
Sorry. But anyways. So
Well, I disagree. Well, we all, even if they did agree, we disagree on stuff, man. You guys allow marriage like up to 3 times.
Are you aware that your church allowed
there's a
that
lot
in the
of
early
wrong.
church?
No.
Oh, you're not? You want to check that again?
No, I did not. Yeah, they didn't.
Okay. Anyways, it's not true. And it's not really an argument. You have to give epistemic justification for why that would be entirely incorrect. So,
Kind of category shifting.
yeah, it's a category error. We got to stick to the actual argument. So St. Basil's argument is not the divine simplicity. So the argument is St. Basil's justification is not liturgical service is inherently something you can. We all agree that's wrong to admit with Muslims. The argument is, and when they argue to enter these areas, you're not doing with the Laodicea councils. Dude, okay, just gonna get him mudded.
I can't even hear them. I can't hear Farmer Draw.
Not mudded. I meant it's like LARPing on my screen in the chat. So
He means scrolling away from the chat. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. It is not permitted to heretics to enter the house of God while continuing heresy. You're missing the whole key points here on what they argue. Yes, we agree in liturgical. Yes, we agree with communicando. But the argument is what justifies that actually to be wrong, because you can't actually give that justification based via natural theology, ideology, via Roman Catholic theology. Hold on, let me finish. I'll let you talk for 5 minutes.
Justify it to be.
You can't. So the argument is, so if you're aware with the quantifier shift fallacy, this is a common thing that Roman Catholicism and Protestantism comes with that I disagree with. So my argument is, can you give a justification why St. Basil says these things and why he doesn't adhere to it just being liturgical? Of course it's liturgical, but it's why do they enter that building? Why do they do this? Why is that interpreted that way? Why do they say, why does Paul, talk about, the God of the nations are demons, etc. Again, we have to stick to the plot. So, scholars and all these things are cool stories that can do the same thing, but we have to stick to the epistemic justification of what that means and why the scholars are saying
We
what
haven't
they're
done the same thing, and besides that, when it comes to, I'm trying to understand. So you're basically saying that since there was an excuse for him doing that he is in schism because
Jay, quit LARPing, bro.
didn't have a reason to pray there?
The argument is that they shouldn't go in these buildings and it was forbidden. And the theological difference between the early church and Roman Catholicism, in my opinion, is built off of, well, a lot of Catholics agree with this too, is geopolitical. It is different. It is conventional convocational because Pope Pius talks about convocations and meetings as a whole, right? So the inconsistency can't just lay on Pope Pius and saying one thing and doing the other. We have to stick to a objective standpoint of what adheres to a church to be true. We can't just sit to one interpretation here, one there, one there. We have to stick to a doctrine. I don't think doctrine can ever be developed. I think it's set in stone. So
then how come we're able to? Okay, we'll stay on track.
yeah, go ahead.
It does not say, if we're looking at it, Canon 64, if any cleric enters a synagogue of Jews or heretics to pray, let him be disposed. It doesn't say if any cleric enters a synagogue at all,
It says
they are to be
enters, does it not?
disposed. Enters to pray.
Why wouldn't they just pray outside then? Why do they have to enter?
That you're shifting it. It says black and white to pray. It says they have to enter to pray.
Again,
it's not entering at all. That's not what this says.
What would they enter
it says
to do? Like
enter
play
to
with
pray.
Them? What would they do? Play basketball or something?
Diplomatic reasons.
Exactly.
Which is why he was there.
Exactly. That's my point. So when
It's for
Pope Pius
diplomatic reasons.
Exactly. That's not an argument.
To convert heretics.
To convert heretics. So that's another. I'm gonna have to keep saying it. I'm not trying to LARP, but are you sure? Do you know what a quantifier shift fallacy is? These are not.
It's
arguments.
not a quantifier shift. I am talking about the. I'm talking about the canon that you're bringing up. 64. It says they have to enter to pray. Black and white. If any cleric enters a synagogue of Jews or heretics to pray, let him be disposed.
It's almost like you have to enter the building to pray.
Wait,
I just joined. That's crazy. Speak of the devil, literally.
Okay.
Wait, did the Pope?
The devil
If we look, and like I said before, if we look at the prior canonical laws, like in 33, was it 32, 33, and 37? They are all talking about praying. This is talking about prayer. None of these laws are prohibiting entering the building at all.
So when it said do not enter the house of God, what is that with heretics? What does that mean to you?
To pray.
Are you talking about 64?
I'm talking about 33 and later Nicaea. They're connected.
33. None shall join. You're talking about canon 33. No one shall join in prayers with heretics or schismatics.
That's not 33.
Canon 33. Council of Laodicea.
No, I don't think it's saying
Cancel
canon.
6. Canon 6.
I have no idea what's happening.
So the argument is, you're sitting here saying that liturgical, you think I disagree with that? Like, obviously. The point is that it's geopolitical, and you still haven't dealt with when Pope Pius talks about
if any bishop
convocations or meetings,
prays with heretics, let him be excommunicated.
Okay, so when it says in Canon 6, and later I see it, is not permitted to heretics to enter the house of God when they continue in heresy, not talking about any praying. What does that mean to you?
What did you just say?
Canon 6 and later
Sorry, cut out for me.
What?
Yeah, to pray. Okay.
Oh no, it doesn't say to pray. It says to enter the house of God when they continue in heresy. Muslims are in heresy according to John of Damascus in the 6th century.
The Greek literally says pray with.
Oh god.
You're not dealing with the canon.
The Greek literally says to pray with.
It's not. You're not reading the right canon. Canon 6 when it says.
I'm reading 6.
In which apostolic canons?
Or 7.
Laodicea.
Laodicea. It says it is not permitted to heretics to enter the house of God when they continue in heresy.
I'm staring at.
We'll get a screenshot. Try to send it in chat of what you're looking at. Maybe help us see.
I think you're on the apostolic canons by Saint Basil. We're looking at the whole apostolic, to the whole. The Saint Basil one you still haven't given an argument towards. So these are two arguments.
First statement's already false.
They've been coping. You're the only person.
That's not even Tucker's argument either.
That's not my argument.
Well, yeah, you keep saying that it's. Yeah, you're subtle. Subtly, you're doing like the same thing that you're getting upset at them for too.
So you just joined about what 30 minutes ago? You don't even know what we're talking about. So stick to St. Basil. What is motivation? It's not a Vatican II interpretation. It's not a natural theological interpretation.
Alright, this is going nowhere.
Dude.
Yeah.
Clearly, this has got to go to more of a formal debate.
And you still haven't dealt with Pope Pius talking about meetings and conventions. Or
yeah, you're throwing 4 things. You just noted 4 things at me, bro.
Because you don't answer the question to Basil and can't.
I have.
No, you haven't.
I tried answering the first one, and you brought up 45.
You don't know what a quantifier should be.
Please, Tucker, I need this.
I disputed you against 45 and 64.
What is it dispute? Wait, hold on.
Yeah, it is because I'm trying to do it one at a time, and you bring up. Now you're just saying I don't know what I'm talking about.
Because you're doing the same arguments as them. I thought you were supposed to be better than these people. You don't know what you're talking about.
What?
This is what you
Why
get
are you
with
getting
papacy.
so upset?
Because I've been dealing
No,
with
this
this
is
all
what you
day.
get when you
Slavic
marry
rage,
3
Slavic
times and
rage.
get 3 divorces, bro.
3 divorces. Do you
Yo,
remember
that
church
dude,
did that?
yeah,
The
that's
church
such a
did
bad
that in the early
argument.
No,
church.
he didn't.
Yes, they did. You guys were up to marry maybe 2 to 3. No, stop.
That's
stop.
wrong.
That's not wrong. You're looking at the wrong sources. 3 divorces or
What do you mean?
marriages?
So
3
my
marriages?
sources don't count. I bring up scholars. You don't.
I brought up Saint Basil. I could bring up scholars. It'd just
You
be a
brought
cool
up
story.
one scholar.
It'd just be a cool story. You need a justification.
Yeah.
A cool story. That's not a cool story.
Dude,
That's-
you brought up these.
Wait, there's scholars on both sides, so that's
That's
clearly
what
an
I'm
appeal to
saying. That's a
authority.
fallacy. You don't know what you're talking. You're just another tradcast, just like
You're just saying that it's a fallacy. You aren't even.
I said, look
It's
up what a
appeal to authority.
quantifier shift fallacy is. Look up what a quantifier. That's what you're
You
doing.
need to prove what you're saying,
Farmer
though.
Gerald,
On the
stop.
quantifier
I mean,
shift.
We already did.
Can I say the word quantifier shift?
That's
You're saying entering at all is the fallacy.
Jacob, Jay, you couldn't even answer any of these. Please stop.
I did answer you, and then you said that it's a quantifier shift.
Because you won't debate, you won't actually answer the context. What was Basil's motivation? You're saying, oh, to excommunicate the liturgies. Obviously, the point is what protects that. And you're doing it with a Vatican II lens, which is divine simplicity, religious
The
liberty.
Catholic shuffle.
It's the Catholic shuffle. You don't want to deal with the argument.